Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, we are from group 2. We want to present our PowerPoint. As for our group members, there are ELFINDA NINGSIH, QISTINA, JANNAH, REVA NOVIANTI, Siti Irma Faradilla Sukma, and the last ZEAN ULFADILLA. As for the material that we will explain is stylistic editing. Well, as for the first material will be explained by ELFINDA.
I will explain the material about tailoring language to readers. The original writings editor usually knows who will read the text. Readers can be recognized in two ways. They might be projected, that is, the author imagines certain types of the readers, and then the editor ensures that the book is suitable for these ideal readers. Alternatively, the document might be aimed at a collection of on-off real now readers. Tailoring for now readers is easier since more is known about their characteristics, which we will now look at. First, motivations. Readers who have motivations will have a greater tolerance for poorly edited text, even though there is impressions that is not good from the author and publishers. If the readers has not been motivated, it becomes the task of the editor to turn on the writing so that the reading's experience is more pleasant, more acceptable. Second, knowledgeability. Text aimed at specialists must be less redundant and less explicit than text aimed at a non-specialist readers. Redundancy, repeating concepts important to make text can be read by people without special knowledge about a subject. This will often help to repeat concepts using synonyms and paraphrases. That way, a reader who doesn't understand the first word might understand the second. Third, education. If the text will have mass readers, a hip one that includes people with relatively low literacy, the editor must ensure that all intended readers will in fact be able to read it. Especially if it contains crucial information, it might be a good idea to test the edited version on some members of the intended readership. Because the readers without post-secondary school educations is generally more difficult to read text full of very long sentences with many subordinate clauses, noun, and or breaks. Fourth, language. If a text is intended for an audience that includes recent immigrants who are not yet good readers of the language in which the text is written, then editors might want to seek advice from specialists in second language learning, who will know with short of wordings in a text are likely to provide difficult. 5. Time and place. As an editor must pay attention to geographical location of readers. The possibility of reader is different from the editor location. Therefore, the editor needs to eliminate Australianisms, Americanisms, Britishisms, and so on. And also, the editor needs to make the language more contemporary so that readers understand. And next, writer-read relationships. Language formalities need to reflect the relationship between the author and the readers. When the author is not known by the reader except through the word arrangement in the text, it is very important not pay attention to the impression of the word structures and the last reader's use of the text. During this discussion, discuss more about the characteristics of readers, such as knowledge and education. What is also important is the use of text, how, where, and why the text will be read. How, where, and why especially important for structural contents and editing. and for backlight and typographic and decisions. But these factors may also affect style. Take the instructions manual. Instructions must be given in short sentences and are directed directly to the reader or listeners. I think enough for my explanation of the tailoring language to readers, materials, and the next matter will be explained by QISTINA. Thank you.
Okay guys, in this part I will explain about smoothing. So actually I don't know what is smoothing, but based on the book that I read that Sir Alif sent to us, smoothing is a process when we read a text. Okay, for example, when the readers need to able up to process a text easily, they should not find the wording getting in the way of the meanings. So the readers should not have to go over a sentence 2 or 3 times just to see how the parts of the sentence are connected to each other and to get a basic point. Okay, I have 3 features that make for a smoothing reading text. Firstly, it's clear what goes with what within each sentence. Okay, it's generally a good idea to put a modifier next to what is modifies. Okay, the example of the sentence is parents with children who want to be at the front should arrive at the parade early. The writer may have meant parents who want to be at the front, but the reader may take it to mean the children who want to be at the front. More often, it's not a matter of 2 completely different interpretations. Okay, next, go to the second point. The subject and verb of main clause are easily located and are so fairly close to each other. Okay, generally speaking, the easiest sentence to read are those which start with the subject and verb of the main clause, and the later mean the clause come in the future of what is the subject, verb are, and how the reader text will be. Actually, to be the more accurate, the real problem is not so much number of words proceeding and the main clause subject or intervening between the subject and verb as the structural complexity and this preceding and interpreceding passage. Okay, last but not least, C. Each sentence is properly related to the preceding one in terms of information of the focus. Consider the first sentence and the section in this chapter. Okay, in this point, I don't give you an example of sentence, but I will give you a little explanation about this point. Okay, originally there was no comma after the reader. As a result, the focus was on knowledgeability and education. This is answerable because the next sentence doesn't go on to discuss some new category of the reader characteristic. Okay, the first category. The first category being one that includes knowledgeability and education. Okay, first category being one that includes knowledgeability and education. Okay, rather, the next sentence introduces a contrasting topic the text uses opens to its readers. So far, the discussion has been about characteristic of the readers, such as knowledgeability and education. Also, important is the text use, how, where, and why it will be read. Okay, that's all I think about my explanation in this chapter. The next material will be explained by my friend. Thank you.
Next, the connector word, like a but, therefore, or others, are not misleading. It is very important that readers be able to see how each sentence is functioning by respect to the previous sentence. The connection may be left for the reader to fill in, or it may be signaled by a special connector word. Among the possible functions are restating in a more elaborate way what has just been said, and then saying what happened next, and next giving evidence for what has just been said, and then saying something that contrasts with what came previously. and then giving the cause and the last purpose or result of what has just been said, or it must be clear which. And then the dominant natural disturbance is most Canadian forests is wildfires, whose frequency in the past 3 decades has increased markedly. Longer and warmer summers, a phenomenon that has been exacerbated by human-induced climate change, are widely true to be the reason. And point E, parallel ideas are expressed to parallel forms. If the text has parallel, insert comment. Make sure the punctuation marks are parallel. In point form writing, watch for instance the points lower in the list don't have the same syntactic form as the earlier points. The incumbent of this position must be able to first translate difficult text rapidly, and then carry out terminological research on the internet, and then have a sound knowledge of editorial practice, and the last, good relationship with clients. And point F, the antecedents of pronouns are immediately clear. For example, it is also important to anticipate reader reaction to the person addressing them. Their entire knowledge of whom may well arise from the wording of the text. The only preceding plural nouns is reaction, and that cannot very well be the antecedents, since reaction don't have knowledge. While the problem could be fixed by using the possessive plural or reader reactions, mental processing of the sentence will be easier if reader reactions is changed to the reactions of readers. In passing, note here the danger of editor introducing error in the opposite case, where the writer has used the reaction of readers, but the editor decides to tighten a sentence up by substituting reader reaction. Next, G. The correct interpretation of non-sequence and other ambiguous structure is clear from context. Consider the check translation of against customer specification. It is clear from context whether customer specification means specifications from the customer. For example, use British billing or specification about the customer. For example, this is class A customer who give us a lot of work. If not, insert the appropriate preposition. The reader, having seen that the has been omit in front of panel, may well assume that it has similarly been omit in front of range. That is, the reader will take switch to be an imperative verb. You should switch the range. However, upon arriving at an is position, the reader sees that this interpretation is wrong and must reinterpret with range as the verb. The switch range and is position. Every language has its common ambiguities that must be watched. In English, the structure exemplified in more structure supervision is often not disambiguated by context. More supervision is structure, or supervision that is more structure. Okay, next explanation will be explained by ZEAN ULFADILLA.
The next is readability versus intelligibility and logic. Readability must be distinguished from unintelligibility and logic. The latter are features of the meaning of a text rather than its wording. A text may contain some slip in logic. For example, it is self-contradictory or affects preset cause, or there is an error in deduction. Second, a passage may fail to be intelligible. Its intended readers will not be able to make sense of it for some reason other than logical error. It comes across as nonsensical, or it is only meaningful in the like or information that comes later in the text. With some kinds of writing, a passage can be deemed intelligible even if its meaning is not immediately apparent. Note that a passage can be perfectly intelligible despite the presence of errors in language and style. Okay, the next materi will be explained by Siti, Ayu, Irma, Faradilla, Sukma.
Okay, now I want to explain about 4.4 style editing during translation. Translators are often involved in smoothing work while they are translating. They clean up the bad writing. Consider the following excerpts from the annual report on forest pets and other source of wood damage. Point 5. The spruce bloodworm and hemlock looper were the main insects that destroyed the green forest in 1999. In the deciduous forest, the main problem was the 60 style Ed10 caterpillars. The shoot beetles are a major concern in plantations. Several severe windstorms are caused severe damage in the summer of 1999. In summer, there is also severe damage from several windstorms. At point 5 provides the translation as seen if the of the source tag phrase is to be considered. Whereas point 6 provides the translation as seen if the translator is involved in mental style editing while translating. Note the following sentence from the translated job description, where point 7 follows the source words, but point 8 the result of mental editing while translating. Point 7 adapt technical and regulatory issues and complex information to present this matter and this information in a way that is simple, accurate, and understandable at the same time. At the point 8, describe technical problems, complex regulation, and other information in an accurate but understandable manner. Apart from reducing verbosity, the translator also expresses the logic of the message. Okay, I think enough for my explanation. The last material will explain by Miratul Jannah.
Same strives to avoid in stylistic editing rewriting too many alterations. Example: original the evidence of overmeasured black spruce stand leads to an increase in logging costs because the trees is often small and merchantable volume are low. This logical structure of this sentence is caused way because that, which is confusing. The problem can be rewritten this way: edit. Given the abundance of overmature black spruce stands, there is an increase in logging costs because the trees are often small and the merchantable volumes are low. The edit version eliminates confusions, paying exclusive attention to very small bits of language and losing track of meaning. Original: the relationship between phrase unloaded and operating time. Edit: the relationship between unloaded phrase, and operating time. Although unloaded phrase is easier to read, there is in losing track of meaning.